Pasadena, California at the Rose Bowl. We're here in the parking lots, and this area is definitely not a stranger to high traffic, but this is where the command post is for the Eaton fire that's currently here in the Altadena, Pasadena area of Los Angeles County. We currently have today just over 3,200 personnel assigned to this fire, and that's personnel, but also equipment. We have engines, water tenders, aircraft, all types of pieces of equipment and apparatus that are assigned to the incident, both fire, law enforcement, contractors, and civilians. So we have representation from agencies all over California, all over the nation. There's hundreds of different patches that you see walking by. That's the beauty of California's mass mutual aid system. We're a fine-tuned machine when it comes to assisting each other with large-scale wildfires here in California.
So today what we have is a local assistance center, but even more importantly, it's a disaster recovery center that FEMA has brought resources to assist victims from disasters. You can register with FEMA out in the front and follow up with the assistance that you might need. But once you come into this room, we have all the county agencies and all the state agencies that can help you access the services that you need.
I have personnel here to help property owners whose property was damaged or destroyed by the fires. Under California law, if your property was damaged or destroyed, you're entitled to property tax relief.
When you come in and you talk to each of our agencies, you find out that there's the ways that we can help you. Can't make the whole picture whole, but we can at least put puzzle pieces together, and so you're on the pathway to recovery.
My family, we lost our home in the fire. It's been very devastating. Here at Pasadena City College, they have a lot of great resources, more of a one-stop shop.
In the long term, we also want to make sure that we meet the needs of residents who are displaced or who might need a little bit more special service that the county government or the state government and the federal government can't really provide. So it becomes a more intimate relationship with the nonprofits and people who have lost as they try to get back on their feet and try to get back to a normal way of life.
One of the things I particularly want to emphasize right now is that scammers and profiteers are already at work. Do not pay for anything, for any government service. There's nothing that these people can do to help you with your application more than you can get directly from us.
When you're ready, we're here to provide the resources that you need to start your pathway to recovery.
Thank you, county officials, for doing that.
We know that the Eaton fire and fires throughout Los Angeles County have devastated families, children, and neighborhoods. Thanks to the Board of Supervisors, the chair of the board, Supervisor Barker, and the county family, LA County Parks is opening care camps at 4 park locations: Arcadia Park, Pamela Park, Crescenta Valley Park, and here at the beautiful LA County Arboretum. LA County Parks is ready to serve 500 youth by providing enriching, safe, and caring places for our youth. And here to share more about our care camps is Richard Smart, who is leading our care camp at the Arboretum.
Howdy everyone. We are excited working with some amazing park staff to create a fun, welcoming, and safe space and experience for youth at our care camps. We're going to have field trips, hands-on activities, free play, quiet spaces, active spaces, so much fun. We also are going to provide meals, and the Department of Mental Health will be on site to offer their services as well.
We want to make sure that youth and teens during this devastating time are okay, and want to also support the families. LA County Parks is ready to serve 500 youth at one of our camps, and it's all free. We welcome our youth, and we will not turn away any of our youth from one of our camps.
When disaster strikes, whether it's fires, floods, or an earthquake, some essentials may become harder to find. Unfortunately, some try to take advantage of these emergencies to profit.
All right, Kirk, thank you. The Bridge Fire is now the largest active fire in California.
When businesses excessively raise prices during and after an emergency, it may be considered price gouging, a crime in California. When a state or local emergency is declared, the prices of essentials like groceries, gasoline, medical supplies, repair services, and housing can't go up by more than 10% in the affected areas. Protections against price increases last 30 days, while protections for contractor-related services last 180 days from the declared emergency. If you believe you're a victim of price gouging, save your receipts and file a complaint with the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs at dcba.lacounty.gov or call us at 800-593-8222.
This is Captain Sheila Kelleher-Burko with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. You're probably thinking, what does it take to fight a fire of this magnitude? This footprint is bigger than the city of Paris. When you put that in perspective, how much has burned? It takes about over 5,000 personnel. We've got 515 engines. We've got 66 dozers. We've got 115 camp crews, 44 helicopters, 60 water tenders. It's a massive operation and a massive amount of people here to do this. And if you look around base camp, you're gonna just see virtually a city. All of Zuma Beach parking lot, for those that are familiar with Zuma Beach, is full of trailers, buildings, or temporary facilities in order to facilitate this fire. After the initial stages of the fire kicking off, it takes a minute to get this mobile city out here, but once it's here, it's up and running, and we've got a ton of support to really put towards this fire to help bring it to a conclusion, especially after the wind events that are coming. It is a virtual city out here. We've got bunks, we've got tents, we've got places to go to fix your equipment if it's lost or broken, or if you run out of something. Again, tons of food, people are making sure we're very well fed. Now, firefighters can't fight this alone. We have a ton of support from other county agencies. We've got our ocean lifeguards, they're incredible with this. We have our Office of Emergency Management. We have all of our admin staff. We have just a huge outpouring of help and support from all the county agencies.
I'm Mark Pastrella, Director of Los Angeles County Public Works, with a message for residents affected by the devastating fires across Los Angeles County. For those of you who are still evacuated, I am so sorry for your loss and for your trouble during these times. It must be difficult to be displaced from your homes, and our hearts are with you during this challenging time. Rebuilding after a wildfire takes time, careful planning, and collaboration. My message to you from the state and local agencies involved in the recovery process is, you are not alone. I know you're eager to return to your homes and neighborhoods. We ask for your patience as affected roads and utilities are assessed and the safety of homes and other structures is determined. Once that work has been done, property owners will be allowed to return. I strongly urge you not to attempt to remove hazardous fire debris yourself. Post-fire debris can contain toxic materials, including asbestos, lead, mercury, and other chemicals that are released when structures burn. These materials pose serious health risk if handled improperly or inhaled. So take extra precautions and make sure you use the proper protective equipment, including goggles, gloves, and a mask, specifically an N95 mask. The next stage is the removal of fire debris, which is a multi-step process. The first step is hazardous materials assessment. This process includes fire inspectors going property by property to provide the necessary clearances for safe removal of fire debris. It's a service provided at no cost to property owners and an essential step before actual debris removal begins. Step 2 is a safe debris removal. The county will launch a debris removal program to assist property owners in safely removing debris. Detailed information about this program will be available soon. After debris removal is complete, the rebuilding process can begin. LA County is dedicated to streamlining permitting and building processes to help you rebuild your homes and communities. I know this process can feel overwhelming, but together we will rebuild stronger and safer communities in LA County. Visit recovery.lacounty.gov for ongoing updates and guidance.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Bishop. I'm one of the information officers here on the Eaton Fire.
Para los que nos escuchan en YouTube, para activar subtítulos en español, por favor, esperen después de esta grabación.
The current acreage is 14,117, and we have 65% containment. Our first presenter with the operations update is Operations Section Chief Joe Walton.
Good afternoon. I'll give you an update on current operations around the fire. Currently, we have ground and air resources that have been working the fire all day. You can see on the map in the area of Winters Creek, Mount Low, and they're just below Mount Wilson, the red on the map. Currently, those are hot areas on the fire that we've been patrolling and monitoring. It's steep terrain and it's hard to get access for crews in there. We've been constantly monitoring the area and keeping a watch on that. There's 60 miles of control lines around the fire and 8 miles of hand line. So there's a lot of ground to cover, but we have a lot of firefighters and air resources doing that currently. I'll give you another operations update on the lower portion of the fire. We've been doing tactical patrol and moving resources around the communities, looking for any hot spots or anything that could be around the structures, hot areas, and we're going to continue those operations with all the folks out there. USAR and SAR operations have continued working with local law enforcement, and they have been focusing on technical search operations. There's areas where they've had to shore buildings up. That means make areas safe so they can do safe searches to look and search. There are a lot of hazardous areas out there that our firefighter and law enforcement folks and fire response personnel have been having to work around and navigate. We currently also have the infrastructure branch working with the local cooperators, trying to improve and help in any roadway systems and access. We're also continuing our damage inspections around the communities, and everybody has been in great communication and continuing to work. Thank you.
Next up for weather, incident meteorologist James White.
Good afternoon, everyone. James White, incident meteorologist. Today was a little bit different on the fire. It was really obvious. You got up this morning. If you live in the area, or really if you live almost anywhere in the LA basin, you probably saw a lot of clouds this morning, low clouds. And that represents marine influence that has really come in from the ocean. And because of that, this area has been much more moist this morning and through the day today. So there was 80-90% relative humidity recoveries at the lower elevations. It was still really dry this morning up on the mountains and in the higher elevations, but that marine layer was able to push up through the day today. So the RH has actually been increasing up there at those higher elevations today. So that's been really great news. We have had a little bit of that south and west wind here on the fire, so a little bit of a different direction than what we have been seeing recently, but hasn't really caused any major concerns, and the wind hasn't been that strong. We're going to keep this marine influence through the weekend, so we're going to stay quite a bit more moist than what we have been seeing, but we are going to lose it pretty quick here. So tomorrow is going to be a little bit drier than today, and then Sunday is going to be even drier yet. So today was kind of the peak of that moisture. There is the chance tonight that we'll get more of that fog and clouds, and maybe even a little bit of light rain and drizzle. But by the time we're heading into tomorrow, that'll be pretty much all gone. As we head into early next week, there remains very high confidence that conditions are going to be very, very dry. We're looking at relative humidities dropping down below 10%, maybe even into the 6 to 8% range. That's exceptionally dry, and it'll probably be the driest conditions this fire has seen since it started. That'll peak around Tuesday is when it'll be the driest. We're also tracking the potential for another Santa Ana wind event. So those winds come down from the mountains, normally from the northeast, and descend down. There's a contingent of the models, a pretty stubborn contingent, about 30% of them or so, which is continuing to show a strong Santa Ana wind event. So there is that potential. If we get a strong one, that's the kind of event that'll mix winds down more consistently, and then you can get your really strong gusts up top 60 miles an hour or more, with more of gusts of 20 to 30 at lower elevations. Thankfully, the majority of the models still show a weaker event. That weaker event would only have kind of moderate gusts at the lower elevations, but some stronger ones up high. So there's that potential, and we're going to be tracking it very closely in the coming days. Regardless of how that wind shakes out, it looks like the rest of next week is going to be quieter, but it will remain very dry through the week. We still don't see any real potential for rain within the next 2 weeks, but there is increasing potential around the end of the month. It doesn't currently look very strong, but it's the best signal for rain we've seen here in months. So we'll be watching that closely as well.
Next up with fire behavior analyst Dennis Burns.
Good afternoon, everybody. So no big changes, not expecting the fire to leave its current footprint. We still have heat in kind of the usual places. Up here below Mount Wilson, we do actually have some heat on this finger, but it's boxed in with retardant. We're hoping that it kind of burns itself out, especially now that we have a little bit cooler, moist conditions. It won't burn as intensely. So the only time that they're actually using aircraft on that right now is if it kind of gets a little bit what we would call sporty, but if the intensity starts picking up, they'll throw a couple buckets on it. But the hope is to let most of those fuels burn out and get down to a smoldering phase. Also, we have a little bit of heat up in here interior, and then down through Altadena, there's still many isolated pockets of heat. Our infrared can detect something, as small as a Weber kettle, so that those sources are there. Unfortunately, they don't put off a lot of smoke, so you don't really find them until you actually step close to them, or you can feel the heat coming off the ground. The conditions that James was describing that are coming ahead, the one thing he didn't mention is that the National Weather Service at Oxnard has issued a fire weather watch as a result of that for the Monday, Tuesday timeframe. So if you see that on their website or whatever, it's for the conditions that James just described. So that's your update for today, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Next up is Law Enforcement Liaison Jason Jarrett to talk about repopulation procedures.
Good afternoon. We had some major successes today. This area in the southern portion, north of New York, basically that would be east of Lake, south of Mendocino, that has now moved to a residents only, and this is the process that we have finally gotten to where we can now actually put those residences back to their property to take a look. It's such a huge step for everybody involved. What I want to do real quick, I want to kind of go down that process just a little bit. As the fire goes through, we have to get our operations folks in there to cool that down. We then went through our SAR process. All of those folks have to go in there and check each of the properties, check their boxes. After that, then we have our infrastructure partners go. We're talking about, we had some great cooperation between SoCal Edison and Gas. This is a make safe effort. It is not a reconstruction effort. Going from there, we move over to Public Works. Public Works has several different departments that have to check each parcel. We're talking about building code. We're talking about building code, and roads have to go through there. So basically we have to clear the road, we have to get to each of the parcels, and we have to get all of your make safes done on each individual parcels. Once we can clear that in an area that we can basically control to allow residents back in, so people that do not belong there stay out of there, then we can let the residents in, and that's finally the place that we've gotten to. We hope to increase this process and the efficiency as we go on, but just a great day for everybody involved. Thank you.
Next up with Public Safety with LA County Sheriff Captain Williams.
So I just want to talk about, we still remained over 280 personnel on scene doing active missions in this area. just want to remind everybody they're still doing search and rescue in certain areas, and people are assessing the areas for different damages. It's still extremely dangerous in that area. That's why we're asking people not to be in that area, especially the ordered zones and the warning zones. So I just want to just talk a little bit more about the repopulation and opening of areas. As was explained, a significant portion has been opened up, and we're expecting more to open up even tomorrow. So just as of 3 o'clock today, it's I just want to describe the area one more time. It's east of Lake, south of Mendocino, all the way over to Altadena Drive. East of Lake, south of Mendocino, and it extends all the way over past Allen to Altadena Drive. That area is open, but we're calling it a soft closure, meaning that you need identification and proof of residency that you live in that area before you will be let in. That can be a driver's license, registration, utility bills, but you need to show proof that you live in that area in order to be let in. There's going to be several checkpoints throughout the area. Main ones, New York Drive and Allen, New York Drive and Lake Avenue. And then, of course, on the west side of Altadena, still remains open, but it's soft closure. You have to show ID, and that's Canyon Crest Road and Lincoln Avenue and Lavinia Lane, all the way up Lincoln Avenue. Again, it's very important that you have ID, or else you would not be let in that area. You have to show that you live in that area. We will have people checking. If you live in one portion of Altadena and not that area, you will not be let in. At this time, we ask that we're not allowing motorhomes or trailers or moving trucks at this time. There's still a lot of utility trucks and emergency vehicles that need to move around those certain areas, and we don't want to block them as they do their work. Also, I want people to know that even though this area has been downgraded to evacuation warning area, and we're opening up to residents, we still will have roving patrols in that area, both by the Sheriff's Department and by Highway Patrol. So we still will have roving patrols in that area. This is important because in the areas I didn't mention, that's above Mendocino, north of Mendocino, is still considered evacuation ordered. We are not allowing people in that area, even if you do live in that area and can show that you do live in those areas. The curfew is still in place for those areas. That's 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. still, and it is strictly enforced. We're already up to over 36 arrests for various reasons, including violations of the curfew. So please adhere to the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. We are optimistic that more will open up. I just can't give an exact time, but leading up to tomorrow and the next day after that, we will be opening up more areas as they can. It's a long process, and everyone has to agree. But once they do so, we will downgrade an area from an order to a warning. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next up with an update from Los Angeles County Public Works, Johan Alpern.
Good afternoon. Yona Halpern. I'm a principal engineer with LA County Public Works. LA County is committed to working with residents and all agencies involved to make the recovery process run as smoothly as possible. We're also working with local utilities to restore power, water, and sewer service, all of which have been damaged. On January 16th, the LA County Health Officer issued a new order to ensure the safe removal, transport, and disposal of fire debris resulting from the wildfires. This order aims to protect public health and safety during the cleanup process for fire debris. As a reminder, post-fire house debris can contain toxic materials like asbestos, lead, mercury, and other chemicals, products, and other heavy metals. These materials are released into the ash and debris when structures burn, and they pose a risk to public health animals, and the environment if they are inhaled or handled improperly. Debris removal involves a two-step process as we continue to work towards restoration together. The first step is the hazardous waste removal. The U.S. EPA and the LA County Fire Department are currently coordinating fire debris assessment and household hazardous waste removal activities. This process is ongoing in the areas that are safe for the nearly 500 inspectors to inspect. And this process is done at no net cost to the property owners, and inspectors will go property. Each property needs to be inspected and the household hazardous waste removed before other fire debris can be removed. And then the second step is the fire debris removal. So after the hazardous materials are removed, the next phase of debris removal can begin, and there will be a program for the cleanup, removal, and disposal of fire debris that property owners can opt into to have their properties appropriately cleared of the household hazardous debris. You may call the county's debris removal hotline at 626-979-5370. 626-979-5370 if you have any questions about debris removal. Public Works is also making preliminary fire damage assessments to determine whether the homes and structures are safe for the public to enter. A red tagged building means the building is unsafe to occupy. Severe structural damage or other hazardous conditions make it dangerous for entry or use. A yellow tagged building is partially restricted for use, meaning that some areas of the building are unsafe, but other parts may be safe for limited occupancy or specific uses. So far, county building and safety officials have placed 23 yellow tags, which means brief entry allowed, and 427 red tags, which means no entry allowed. Red tagged buildings have contact information, so please call if you have any questions or concerns. Lastly, we know that some members of the public are still evacuated, and we want you to know that there is a massive coordinated effort to return you back to your homes in a way that is safe for you and your loved ones to start the process of rebuilding. Thank you.
Thank you, Yona, for that information. Next up from FEMA, Public Affairs Officer Nicole Wilson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nicole Wilson, FEMA Public Affairs Specialist. Going to start the update with the numbers for today. We currently have, as of this morning, $23 million in the hands of wildfire survivors in Los Angeles County who were impacted by those fires that began January 7th. I want to take a moment to talk about fraud. We see fraud pop up in just about every disaster, and so just want to offer a few tips for you to think about as you continue your process for recovery. Number one, just know criminals may claim that they work for FEMA or other government agencies and make promises to provide you with grants or building permits or help you with insurance claims. Be cognizant of that and be very careful who you provide your personal information to. Also, scammers may ask for money in exchange for things like helping you apply for FEMA assistance. FEMA does not charge you to get an application in. So if someone charges you to apply for FEMA assistance, it is likely a scam. Always verify the identity of FEMA representatives using their laminated photo ID. All FEMA staff wears a photo identification. And if you are suspicious that the person is not a FEMA staff member, please call our hotline. I will share that number in just a moment. If you believe someone may have used your identification or personal information to apply for FEMA assistance, please contact us. We will work with you to confirm identity and ensure you receive all of the benefits that you're eligible for. That number that you can call if you suspect fraud is 1-800-621-3362. And a note on inspectors, FEMA inspectors may call you from an out-of-state phone number. So if you start receiving phone calls from an out-of-state number, please be sure to pick up the phone, or if they text you and say they are a FEMA inspector, please contact them back. They will try to reach out to you 3 times. If they don't hear back from you, it could stall your application. We also know that we heard that some of the areas are beginning to open up. That is really good news. But we also know that some of the areas that are still mandatory evacuation zones, and we are still not allowed to go into those areas for inspections yet. So as inspectors start reaching out to you, if your home is still in a mandatory evacuation zone, please contact them back if you've missed the call, and let them know that your home is in a mandatory evacuation zone, and you will need to reschedule the inspection once that is lifted. And lastly, disaster unemployment assistance is now available to Los Angeles County workers who are impacted by the wildfires. Disaster unemployment assistance is for workers such as self-employed people who are not eligible for regular unemployment benefits and lost their jobs or had their hours reduced because of the disaster. The benefits apply to losses beginning January 12th, 2025. Federal disaster unemployment assistance is available to, again, workers and those who are self-employed who do not qualify for regular unemployment benefits. The Employment Development Department with the state administers these benefits. They have the qualifications or eligibility requirements on their website. You can go see what makes people eligible for these benefits. The claims for disaster unemployment assistance must be filed by March 10th of 2025. That can be done on the website for Employment Development Department, or they also have representatives situated at the disaster recovery centers. There are 2 currently open, one at the Pasadena City Community College Education Center at 3035 East Foothill Boulevard, and at UCLA Research Park West at 10850 West Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles. And again, if you still have not applied for FEMA assistance, you can do that on disasterassistance.gov by calling 1-800-621-3362 on the FEMA app, or by visiting us at one of those centers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, our incident commanders, Alex McBath and Jonathan Cox.
Good afternoon, Jonathan Cox, Unified Incident Commander here on the Eaton Fire. Just wanted to share some updates on the damage inspection numbers. As of this afternoon, damage inspectors have completed over 15,680 inspections within the Eaton Fire. Of that, 8,690 structures have been confirmed destroyed and 938 damaged. Just the last point is we still have over 3,000 personnel on the Eaton Fire working around the clock, focused on bringing full containment to the incident, as well as ensuring that we make those areas safe so that repopulation can happen.
Good evening, Alex McBath, Unified Command for the Eaton Fire. I want to pass on that you've heard a lot of information today. A few other things that I'd like you to be aware of is that we are now at 65% contained on the wildfire portion of this fire. Even though the numbers are going up every day, be assured that this fire has been wind tested twice, and the new wind event that's coming up Monday, Tuesday has a very low probability of producing any fire spread. Our firefighters have been working tirelessly out on the fire line and down in the communities to meet the need of the folks in LA County and all the cities surrounding it. We'll be tuning in tomorrow night to give you more information and more updates, and we hope to hear from your questions as they come in. Thank you.
Now we're going to start our question and answer. I'm going to ask for Captain Williams with Los Angeles County Sheriffs to come back up.
There are questions about the curfew and the ordered area. I just want to make some clarification. I may have been kind of confusing last time. So the area that has just been opened, I'll describe it again. It's east of Lake, south of Mendocino, moving all the way to Altadena Drive. That area is still considered evacuation ordered area, but we're calling it a soft closure, which means that only residents that live there can show their ID and get in. It is not open to the public. So it is still an evacuation ordered area. The curfew, as of now, still remains in place for that evacuation ordered area. That's 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. For right now, the whole purpose of it is for people to come to their residence, assess their property, grab some essentials that they need, and to leave that area. If they decide to stay, they are not allowed to walk around the neighborhood as those things are normal. It's still dangerous out there. So that's why it's still considered evacuation ordered area. Just want to make sure everyone's clear on this. The curfew is in place still for that evacuation ordered area. However, it is a soft opening. We're only allowing residents in. They have to show their ID. And they are not to be walking around past the curfew area as though things are normal, because you are subject to being stopped and being in violation of the curfew. The goal is to get in that area, assess, grab some essentials that you need, and to exit the area. There's questions about whether or not we're going to be in that area. We will remain in that area doing roving patrols. And we will stay in that area until the situation has deemed safe. And that's about it. I just want to make sure I clarify that curfew, even though we are letting people in for a soft closure, it still remains an evacuation ordered area. And the curfew, as of right now, still remains in place for those evacuation ordered areas. Again, the key is to get in, assess, grab some things you need, and to get out of the area. Thank you.
Next up, I'm going to ask for Assistant Chief Springle to come up and respond to some questions.
Hey, good afternoon, Pat Springle, a local fire chief, community of Altadena. So the question is, will there be power, water, or gas when I return home? So we continue to push daily to get community members into their properties. Utilities also continue to work tirelessly to get utilities back in service. So you may or may not have power, water, or gas upon your return to your property. If you return and are not comfortable without utilities, we ask that you stay out until utilities are restored. In that case, please grab medications, valuables, and such, and exit the fire area until the utilities are restored. Thank you.
Thank you. Please do continue to send in your questions. We are keeping a list, making sure that we get the appropriate people to direct those questions to get the right answers. We also know that we have been throwing a lot of different web links out to you and websites. I'd like to take you to the link tree that we and the information officer have put together so you can find those in all one place. If you go to Linktree /2025 Eaton Fire, that'll take you to a web page that's going to give you access to all the web links that our personnel are bringing to your attention. Thank you for joining us and have a good evening.